The PlayStation Classic. Released December 2018 following on from a slew of miniaturized consoles during a craze started by Nintendo, the console received disappointing reviews following a hyped launch. While it was praised for its design and the inclusion of two USB controllers, those same controllers were criticized for being based on the variant before analog sticks. Additionally, the quality of emulation was seen as poor compared to what Nintendo was releasing, and surprisingly, many of the games were subpar PAL versions, which doesn't make a lot of sense in the modern day. Why not sell it with the superior NTSC variants instead? What is the reason they had to choose? Regardless, the actual list of games included was also a point of contention for reviewers. While there were some great choices like GTA, Resident Evil, Destruction Derby, and Metal Gear Solid, other classics that arguably define the original system were missing, such as Crash Bandicoot, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, Gran Turismo, Wipeout, Spyro the Dragon, etc. I could list games for a week. I understand Sony would have encountered more licensing issues than Nintendo, but it was disappointing nonetheless. I received my unit right on release, as my partner had pre-ordered it for my birthday. Unfortunately for her, she paid the full retail price of $150 Australian, when by only a month later, it was half that price and to be found in bargain bins. Luckily for us, there are smart cookies out there that have enabled the mini console to be hacked and be what it should have been, and more. In a roundabout way, I will finally be getting my partner's money's worth, since buying a new one of these presently isn't that affordable. Today, we'll be modding the PlayStation Classic using a tool called Project Eris, a spiritual successor to BleemSync. Project Eris is a product by the Mod My Classic team and enables any PS1 game you wish to be playable on the system. On top of that, Project Eris also comes with support for Emulation Station, so many more consoles can be played on the system, essentially turning it into a retro Pi-like device, but with a cool case. I'll also show you how to easily hook up a PS4 controller so the newly expanded library can be played with analog sticks. Let's crack into it. The first step is to download a zipped package from the Project Eris website. While that's downloading, grab a spare USB drive, with a Type 2 being preferable, and format it as FAT32. Other format types won't work, but don't stress, this will be amended in a future step. As well as formatting it as FAT32, the drive must be labelled as the word Sony in all capitals. Now extract the downloaded zip file to the drive. Unplug the power cable from the PlayStation Classic so it doesn't enter into a sleep mode, and plug the USB drive into controller port 2. Make sure no other USB drives are connected, and additionally, do not plug the drive in using a hub or an OTG cable. However, be sure the HDMI cable is plugged in, since updates of the process will be displayed. Once you're happy, plug the power cable back in and wait for the orange indicator light to turn on. Power the system on and let the package install. Updates will display through your monitor during this period. The indicator light will also alternate between green and red. Once it's complete, the screen will say so and the system will power off. Now, you can remove the USB drive and plug it back into your computer. Back up the files on the USB stick and keep them somewhere safe. According to the official instructions, the backups on here are specific to your console and cannot be replaced if you delete them, so heed their warning seriously. Once the files are backed up, format the USB drive again, but this time as NTFC or exFAT, again naming it Sony in capitals. FAT32 isn't actually allowed at this point because there's a higher chance of corruption. Once formatted, copy all the files you just backed up back onto the drive. Again, unplug the power from the Classic and plug the USB back into controller port 2. Just like last time, do not have any other USB device plugged in and do not use an OTG cable. Plug the power cable back in, and after a quick initialization, the install should be complete. Now you can plug the controller back in. A new boot menu will appear. Here, you can choose between the main menu where settings can be tweaked, Project Eris itself, and Emulation Station. Selecting Project Eris will load a screen very similar to the Classic's original boot screen, but with a few extra options. You can also access and play the original launch games here too, but I bet you've already played those, let's add some more. Adding games is quite simple. All you have to do is plug the USB drive back into your computer and copy the ROM files to the folder on the drive labelled Transfer. Just make sure they're not zipped. And no, I will not divulge where I get my ROMs from. I'm too small of a YouTuber to afford being sued. Mine are, of course, legal backups of existing games I own. Nothing more. Stop asking questions. Once you plug the drive back into the Classic, the added games will now appear in the Project Eris carousel along with the originals. Project Eris comes bundled with quite a large database too, so it's likely the cover art, developer, year released and number of players should now show too. Neat. We are, of course, still playing without analog sticks, and if it's a game released after 1997, that blows, so let's amend that. For testing, I plugged both a cabled Xbox 360 and PS3 controller in, and they worked with no configuration whatsoever. That's awesome since both have analog sticks, and it's likely you'll have one laying around. If you want to go wireless, however, it gets a bit trickier since the Classic doesn't have Bluetooth built in. Project Eris does support USB Bluetooth adapters, but it's not a straightforward process and not all are supported. Instead of going down that rabbit hole, I instead opted for a more bespoke solution. 8-Bit do sell a USB wireless adapter that is specifically designed to work with the Classic, along with other devices such as the Raspberry Pi and Android TV boxes. It supports a range of Bluetooth controllers for the Xbox, various PlayStations, Wii's, and the Switch. I personally opted for a DualShock 4 since I have this fresh as blue variant. According to the box, all you must do is turn on the controller and press the pair button on the adapter, but this didn't work. Downloading the instructions, it appears you actually need to hold down the PS and share buttons until the controller's light bar flashes rapidly, and then the adapter will pair if it's in the pairing mode. I'm knowing I had to download a PDF to learn there's correct alternative instructions to what's printed on the box, but it is what it is. Fortunately, once that's done, it works quite well. I was able to jump right into a game that supports analog sticks, and they worked without any further configuration. I should also add that you don't even need the Classic modded for this adapter to work. It's even compatible with a vanilla console. Enough PlayStation though, and I can't believe I just said that, but let's set up some other consoles. Even though Emulation Station is already there, you'll need to add cores for each console for the ROMs to boot. Luckily, they can all be downloaded at once off Project Eris' website. Navigate to the Mods drop-down and select PSC Mods. From here on the left, and pay attention now, grab a pen, go Classic Lib Retro, Stable, PlayStation Classic, XY, and you'll find a file titled All Cores and Capitals. Download this zip. Plug your controller's USB drive back into your computer, and ready? Extract the zip file contents to Project Eris, OPT, RetroArch, Config, and Cores. Once that's done, head back to the root of the flash drive and check out the ROMs folder. Each console has a dedicated folder, and it's as simple as copying the right ROMs in. Once the drive is plugged back into the Classic, navigate to the Emulation Station menu, and each console with ROMs loaded will now show up. From here, you can choose the game you wish to play, and it's happy days. Other features of Project Eris include support for Wi-Fi adapters, as well as a desktop app. Again, I didn't bother with Wi-Fi since not all adapters are supported and the setup process is a bit involved, but there are dedicated tutorials to be found if you want to learn how to do that. I didn't bother with the desktop app either, but among other features, this allows you to edit certain information of your ROMs like the album art and developer information. So there you have it, a PlayStation Classic that doesn't suck. I'm now going to keep it permanently plugged into my lounge room TV, as it will now be useful for leisure and even certain videos on this channel, but it also just looks cool. More fitting than a Raspberry Pi on a mount anyway, since the PS1 is my all-time favourite console. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll hopefully catch you in the next video.